signing in gibberish. Tonight I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming a friend of mine back to St. Louis. He is a distinguished broadcaster, an award-winning journalist, a best-selling author, and I can honestly say that after having been on the other end of the microphone with him on TV One, CNN, and the Tom Joyner Morning Show, Roland doesn't pull any punches. His is honest, accurate, and fair, and he has absolutely no problem speaking truth to power. Roland Martin is more than just another talking head on cable TV. We have too many of them. He is the real deal, who has earned credibility not just with African American audiences, but with all Americans. Please welcome one of the most trusted and influential men in America, the host and managing editor of TV One's Washington Watch, and the senior analyst for the Tom Joyner Morning Show, Roland Martin.
So how are we doing? So glad to see many of you out. Folks were coming up to me and they said, well, you were here in June for the Baptist Congress and you were here for the St. Louis American, you were for this event, that event. I said, I think this is probably the 5th or 6th time I've been here. I walked into the hotel, I said, I think I stayed here before. I certainly travel a lot of places and go to a lot of places, and I always appreciate the reception that I get here, and I thank you so very much, seeing so many of you. And had one brother walked up to me, he said, you know, when you spoke to the preachers here, you upset a lot of them in the room. I said, well, they got to get over it. I said, surely they should have known that was going to happen. I even have some members of the Black Caucus with Congressman Clay. They say, you know what, man, I love to come on your show, but you a little tough on us too. I said, well, everybody got to get cut. And so we certainly, and I look forward to having, it was great seeing Senator Blunt here. I expect to see him on the show too. We were on a panel together when he was running. And I said, you know, so you're running for Senate, right? He said, yeah. I said, well, you know, many Republicans won't come on my show. He said, I'll be happy to come on your show. I said, I'm going to hold you to it. So when I saw him here, I said, yeah, I said, we'll have you on real soon. So we look forward to having that conversation. I'll be nice. I cut him the second time, not the first time. Come on. No, just kidding. And again, glad to see so many of you here. Also, when I was packing last night, I said, babe, what should I wear? But Dr. King, of course, was a member of the only real fraternity that exists, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Y'all born, ain't my problem you couldn't get in. Everybody couldn't make the cut. It's all okay. See, Congressman Clay, I ain't mentioned the fact you're a Kappa. I know, it's all good, though. It's all good. I tolerate Kappas. Y'all all right. Nice little cute colors. Yeah, y'all all right. So, and of course, when I met the president, she met me at the airport. She said, we got a goodie bag. I said, see, that's very good. Black and gold school colors. That's very good. Very good. It was brown, baby. That was black and gold. I changed y'all colors. She gonna say brown and gold. No, I changed it. But again, we're so glad to see many of the brothers as well. When I walked into the room, I was asked earlier, somebody said, what are you going to talk about? I said, I have no idea. And they actually thought I was joking, and I don't write speeches. All I simply ask is how much time you want me to speak, and I do what I do. And when I walked into the room, this song was playing when I walked into the room. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom.
freedom.
Now listen to the word.
Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom.
Those who don't know, this was
I
one
woke up this
of the
morning,
many anthems
my mind
during the Civil Rights Movement. You can keep playing it, keep playing. I'll give you the cutoff sign.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
So you can end it right there. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. And when I saw the opening video and they were playing the portion of the I Have a Dream speech, and then the dance troupe, they actually danced to it, and I heard other people reference that particular speech within their remarks. And as I heard them and as I watched that, I was itching to get up here. Because, and it is no disrespect to any individual, it is no disrespect to anyone who likes to quote that portion of the speech, but it greatly bothers me, and I used to get ticked off every year when I was on CNN. They would ask the question, Roland, is the dream alive? What is the state of the dream? The reason that bothers me is because we have defined the life and legacy of Dr. King based upon a single speech given on August 28, 1963. And what bothers me is that we love to quote and show and shout and celebrate on the I Have a Dream portion of that speech as if nothing else was said by him in that 18-minute speech. See, it's real easy for us to get excited and talk about the I Have a Dream part because that is the wholesome and loving and we all together and feel great and can't we all just get along part. It reminds me of what if you watch a lot of the cable news shows when Nelson Mandela died. He was portrayed as this loving and wonderful teddy bear. This person who, when he was inaugurated, he had his jailers on the front row, and you heard all of the commentators on television talk about, oh, he was about reconciliation, and he was about love and togetherness, and he was. But see, they had an agenda in saying that. Because see, if you flipped from MSNBC, if you flipped from CNN, if you flipped from Fox and you turned to TV One, this is what you would have heard. He was a revolutionary. What you would have heard was this was somebody who was unwilling to accept the status quo and was willing to fight for what is right, even if it meant taking up arms against his oppressors. Now see, folk don't want to talk about that part. But I remind those same people who on Fox and MSNBC and CNN, if you are willing to call the founding fathers of America revolutionaries, if you're willing to celebrate them for taking up arms against the British to found this country, then we should have the courage and the audacity to say about Nelson Mandela and Dr. King, they too were revolutionaries. Because see, for some reason, when we talk about revolutionaries and their skin has been darkened by the sun, that takes on a whole different meaning. It is as if we start freaking out. Even some black folks, don't even mention Black Panthers. Oh, brother, don't bring up the Black Panthers. I mean, we get all scared and everything. Start freaking out. And I remind those same black folks, you obviously don't understand your history, because if you understand the true origins of the Black Panther Party, that was a political party in the state of Alabama where we could not get on the Democratic or Republican ticket. Google it when you get home. And the reason I'm talking about a radical idea and a revolutionary figure in terms of Dr. King, because I believe we have to reprogram ourselves and stop with this ridiculous view that somehow he was this great, loving, mild, meek figure who was all about getting along. Because in fact, if you go back and read that speech on August 28th, 1963, you will recognize that that was one of the most radical, revolutionary speeches about economic injustice ever given in this country. See, we have allowed ourselves to get caught up in the happiness and all great, and we just all, and look, we're all about unity and togetherness, but there's also a thing called reality. And as a reality, when you look at the economic injustice in this country, and see, many of us talk about calling it the March on Washington, and I always say, no, it was called the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. You can't talk about the March on Washington and leave off jobs and freedom. We can't keep sitting here talking about Dr. King in some delusional, rosy view without realizing that from that particular speech to the day that he was killed, he understood it wasn't just about access to the ballot. It wasn't just about sitting in a hotel. It wasn't just about a lunch counter. He understood that if you do not have full economic equality, there is no such thing as equality or democracy in America. When he was shot and killed in Memphis, he wasn't in Memphis just kicking it with some brothers about voting. No, he was there fighting for sanitation workers. And what many of us don't understand is some of those same sanitation workers he was fighting for in 1968 are still on the job in Memphis today because they have not received the economic justice that he was fighting for in 1968. They were planning the poor people's campaign when he was killed. They were planning to bring poor people to the Mall on Washington to build shanties to show the members of Congress this is what the real poor looks like in America. On April 4th, 1967, he stood in Riverside Church and gave a speech called Beyond Vietnam, where he had the courage to look the president in the eye and look the country in the eye and say we have no business being in Vietnam. At the cost of the war in Vietnam was having an impact on the war on poverty in the United States. So to me, there is no coincidence. There's no coincidence that he gave a speech on April 4th, 1967, laying out the economic injustice of a war in Vietnam, and to the day, 1 year later, he was gunned down in Memphis. At some point, we have to reprogram ourselves to realize that here was someone who understood economic power, who understood why it wasn't just about a ballot. That was important. But he sat there and he witnessed all the different changes, and they witnessed Brown versus Board of Education, and they witnessed the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act and the Fair Housing Act, and he understood that it's also about what is happening economically. See, far too many of us have gotten so lazy in that we have allowed the playing of one speech to define all that we know about an individual. We have allowed ourselves to only look at the drum major speech. We have allowed ourselves to let somebody else frame for us who he was and what he was all about, as opposed to saying, no, allow us to paint a different picture. In his life, he only wrote 3 books. And one of the books that he wrote, many of us know Why We Can't Wait, Letters from a Birmingham Jail. But I would dare say the most important book that he wrote, even more important than that book, was the book that's called Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community.